Today I'm going to be doing a video showing you how to use our multi-part kits and how to digitally assemble them using a program like this, like Blender. We're currently working on our Soviets, so I figured it would be a good time to do a Soviet figure using the multi-part kits, and we have three different Soviet multi-part kits out. We've got a scout kit, an engineer kit, and a regular infantry one. So today I'm going to be playing around with a scout kit. And my plan, I think, is going to be to try and make a female sniper. So let's give that a go. So first of all then, Blender, how do we move around in it? So I picked Blender because it's free and it's powerful, but unfortunately it is not very user friendly, so hopefully this video will help a little bit. So if you're wanting to move around, orbit around, you press your mouse wheel in and you move your mouse around. I strongly advise using a mouse with a mouse wheel, it makes things a lot easier. If you don't have a mouse wheel, you can just use this gimbal up here and drag that around, and that will allow you to orbit as well. You can also, and I do this quite a lot, you can also click on these little letters X, Y, and Z, and that will snap you to particular axes so you can see, more cleanly, direct on for things. So that's quite useful. Next up, then, zooming in and out. If you move your mouse wheel in and out, you'll zoom in and out, but you can use this zoom tool here. Just click and move up for zoom in, move out, back for zoom out. And the only other one that you really need is the pan tool. So if you press your mouse wheel and shift, so shift and the mouse wheel, you can then drag left and right and up and down and pan, but you can use this move the view tool. So you're not moving the part here, you're moving the camera technically. So let's get cracking, because my last video was about half hour long, so let's try and make this one shorter. So I'm going to click on the cube, press X and delete, and while I'm at it I'm going to delete the light, right click and delete, and the camera delete, just because we don't actually need them for what we're doing. So File, Import, STL, and now we need to find the multi-part kit. Mine's here. Right, so we've got 4 folders. Ignore this. This is a little model I was playing around with the other day. That would be in your kit. So here we go. Let's start with the bodies. Now I said I want to do a sniper, a female sniper. Now we already have a scout sniper, and it uses a pose on one knee, kind of proposal type pose. Which will be very similar to this one. So we're not going to use this part because it will end up looking too similar. So I could either have a squatting, sort of like creeping up on somebody, or I could have her on her knees. I'm thinking the knees. I think that just makes more sense. So she'll be on 2 knees, on both knees, kind of standing up, trying to shoot over something. So let's go with that. I could have gone walking, but let's go with knees. So import, and wait for it to load. There it is. Right, very zoomed in, so zoom out a little bit. There we are. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go Object, Set Origin, and then Geometry to Origin. And this will put her more central. And then I'm going to rotate, and I'm going to start dragging this way, and then I'm going to type 90 whilst dragging and enter. And that will then make her snap to standing upright. And that will make things just a little easier later on. And I'm going to use the Move tool, and I'm going to sit her just on the origin line. There you go. So there's my starting point. Now I could, if I want to, start rescaling this. I'm not going to, but I could, if I decided right from the off that I wanted that to be a bit skinny, then I could do. But the uniform's supposed to be a bit puffy, a bit poofy for the scout, so I'm going to leave it as is. Right, let's add in some arms then. So let's go File, Import, STL, and let's go find the arms. Now I've already said that I'm going to do a sniper, so that'll be the Mosin scoped. But we do also have some rifles that are unscoped. We've got a pointing arm here, which is very useful if you're doing like an officer, or if you're doing a maybe if you're doing an observer. We've got a SMG up on the shoulder, good for kind of movement poses. We've got SMG shooting and just being carried. We've got some really cool knife arms. I really like these parts. They're very cool, but they're one of the things that are sort of so unique you don't want to put them on everything. Otherwise, it just becomes boring. You kind of want it on just a couple of models, and it looks cool. We've got some empty arms, which are useful because you don't always want people carrying everything all the time, and then some binocular arms. Now, the great thing about this kit, being the the Scout kit is the parts are interchangeable, or the arms are interchangeable with the Engineer kit, because they've got the same sort of base uniform, I suppose, as we've modelled them. So the sleeve design's the same. So you could use the arms. So we've got like Panzerfausts and LMGs and more rifles and more machine guns, submachine guns and things. So there are more parts there. We've even got an arm drinking from a bottle, and another arm smoking a cigar. So if you're wanting a character pose that's got those kind of elements, then you can start mix and matching. But I'm gonna just use the scoped Mosin arm. There it is. Right, okay, so first of all, let's move this so it's vaguely in the right place. In fact, let's rotate it as well. Let's drag this around by 90. So again, as I'm dragging, I just type in 90 and then press enter, and it will then snap to that amount. And let's line this up. I'm just going to worry about the shoulder here for now. Let's line this up so it's just loosely in the right place, just ish. We're going to play with it later anyway, but let's just get it vaguely in the right place. Something like that. And let's see what we look like from the side. Not actually that bad, to be honest. I was expecting much worse. So let's just move it back a little bit. And I'm most interested to see how the shoulder lines up here. We don't want any real big gaps. I'm just going to lift it up a little bit. That's quite nice. Don't worry about this little thing here. We can sort that in a minute. So let's start with that. That's a good shoulder. Let's see what the other side. Yeah, the other side is awful. This is what I was expecting it to look like. Right, okay, cool. So let's sort that out. So we're going to click on the arm, and we want to select the 3D cursor, which is this tool here. So we click on that, and we want to put it right at the top of the shoulder, because this is correct, and we want to preserve that. I'm now going to go Object, Set Origin, and this time origin to 3D cursor, and a little orange dot appears in the middle of my 3D cursor to show that's now my origin point. So now when I rotate anything, it will rotate from this point. So I like to work from above for this. So let's look, I just snapped to the x-axis by clicking that, and then we're going to rotate, and I can start dragging this in until I get it lining up somewhere sensible. And then I can kind of come down on the green axis as well to bring this down a little bit so this shoulder lines up a bit better. Don't worry about the gaps here, because we're going to sort those. And again, with the bulge here, we're going to sort that. But that's a good starting point. But she is sort of looking down. So if we wanted this to be she's actually shooting her rifle, this doesn't currently do it. So let's it would be great if she's just sort of looking over a scope or something. But if we want it actually shooting, so let's just raise it back up again, just so she's sort of shooting. This does of course put the shoulder out of joint here, because this part originally wasn't a shooting pose, it was just a holding pose, but we can solve this very quickly and easily in a minute. So I quite like that. I'm just going to slightly bring it down just a little bit, not a lot, but a bit. Cool, quite happy with that. So let's start cleaning it up a bit. So first of all, let's see if we can move anything. Let's move this just slightly that way a little bit. That cleans up a lot of this shoulder already. Yeah, I quite like that. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to start using the sculpting tools to sort these gaps and these shoulder joints fully out. Okay, so what we do, click on the part. In this case, it's the arm, and we're going to go where it says Object Mode. We're going to put it into Sculpt Mode. And we've got loads of tools. We can do all kinds of things. The one I care about is this one, the Grab tool, and we can increase the radius to make the area we're grabbing bigger, and we can decrease it to make it smaller, and you can increase the strength if you find that it's not pulling enough material, but I normally leave that alone. So I'm just going to start dragging these in a bit. So immediately that disappeared. Drag this in. There we go. That sort of sorted that shoulder out pretty fast. Let's make this radius just a little smaller again to get rid of that. There we go. So happy there with that shoulder. Oh, we've got just a little bit here. I've got to be careful here because I don't want to be affecting the butt of the rifle as well. So there we go, happy with that arm. This arm is the one that requires some significant changes. So let's make the radius somewhat bigger. Again, I don't want it so big that we're affecting what's going on over here. So I need to just be a little bit careful. So let's start reasonably big. Let's start moving this around. Right, that's better. I'm going to drag it inside the body. Again, we'll clean up the mess it makes in a minute. In fact, it probably looked better first time round. I got lucky. Right, and then we've got a big gap here. So let's get rid of the big gap. Let's make the radius just a little smaller and drag this in. Now these gaps are actually the reason why we advise using these kits digitally, because if you 3D printed these and use them, as big parts, fully, pre-printed parts, and then you assemble them from there, you'd end up with these big gaps. And the reason for that is because to model a kit that doesn't do that is really hard, like the plastic kits you get from major companies. And the way they solve it for the most part is you either have particular arms that design for particular bodies, but that sort of defeats the point of a multi-part kit, or you end up with the shoulder widths and angles being exactly the same on every model, so that they always line up. And I just think that leads to then kits again that just all the models then look too similar. So I much prefer, particularly since these are for 3D printing, I much prefer doing these videos and you guys then having an enjoyable evening or so just making your own models, being a sculptor, and it's quite good fun. Right, so quite happy with that. That looks good to my eye. Okay. There is a weird little bulge sticking out here, okay, because I've tucked this arm in a little bit here. So I kind of want to sort that little bulge out. So where I'm going to do that, I'm going to go back to object mode. I'm going to click on my body part and then go back to sculpting mode. And then again, I can just drag that in. There we go. Fixed. So, it's really quick and simple. Like, if you're doing this physically, you would be having to file and sand and all kinds of things and fill with model putty and stuff. And it's just not worth it. Right, so there we go. Happy with that pose. Let's now give her a head. So, back to object mode. File. Import. STL. Heads. Now, I said I want a female sniper, so I don't actually know which. Let's go with female head 1. Again, these heads are interchangeable with all of the other Soviet ones. So heads are head at the end of the day. So we've got our infantry heads, we've got our engineer heads. You could use any of them. If you wanted to do an infantry squad and give them all female heads, then you can. You use the female heads from here and put them on our infantry, etc. So yeah, you can have a play. Right. So female head 1. Import. Let's see what this head looks like. Oh, there it is down there. So let's do the cursor and let's put it on the bottom of her neck. And then we're going to go object, set origin, and origin to 3D cursor. So now it will all rotate from that point. And let's rotate our head. So as we're rotating, we're going to type in 90. And there's her head. Oh, so she's got braids. There you go, cool. Right, okay, so let's start lining this up to be more or less in the right place. So I normally like to work from above again for this bit. So let's drag this over and get it just vaguely in the right place. I'm not looking for perfect right now. I'm just trying to get it sort of lined up. So let's bring it down a little bit. There we go. It needs to come forwards because her head's really far back at the moment, which probably then means it will need to come down again because it normally does. There we go, not too bad. She's got a really long neck, so let's go way in. Don't worry about the pigtails. We can worry about those in a minute. I don't want her looking forward anyway. She's going to be looking down her scope, so we'll sort those out when they're in their final position. That's better because we've got like a collar in here, and that seems to line up nicely to that. She possibly wants to go just touch that side. There you go. That's a little bit better. Now you could decide that. Because the female heads we made them quite small to make them look a bit more feminine, but you could make them bigger. You could click on them, press S, and then just ever so slightly rescale them bigger if you want them to line up, because she does have quite a puffy uniform on, so we can do that quite easily. It will technically, if she was wearing a helmet or something, it would technically put that out of scale, but you're doing it by such a tiny amount that it's negligible, really. Right, so let's make her look in the right direction. So rotate tool. Sorry if I'm wittering on, by the way, because this is what I do. This is what I do when I'm designing models. I usually just natter to myself or tell my wife about it all. I'm actually a teacher by day, secondary school teacher, and this is probably what my lessons are like. It's just me wittering on and the kids not having a clue what I'm on about. Right, okay, that's cool. but she's leaning just a little bit forward with her head. So first of all, let's rotate back. Now I'm going to use the white line. This white circle rotates based on the camera view rather than on the set axis. So you can then just line your camera up to how you like it. Let's lean her back a bit and then look head on, and let's now lean her back in a little bit. Just going to play around with it until I like the pose. She's not looking down her scope like I was originally planning, but I actually quite like that. She's sort of just looking over, kind of, I'm about to shoot you. You know, have I seen something moving over there or not? So I'm going to keep that actually. I like it. It's good. Okay, I was gonna keep playing until she was kind of looking down here, but I think this is better. Right, so let's sort out the braids then. This braid actually is in the right place. So this seems to lean nicely. It's a little intersecting there, but that doesn't bother me. And it seems to, as it happens, just very nicely like line up on the stock of our weapons. So that's cool. I like that. Nothing to worry about there. This, on the other hand, is a problem. It's going right through the hood. So don't like that. So let's sort that out. So again, into sculpt mode and using the grab tool, and we're just going to start moving it around. Now I'm going to start with a fairly small radius. Because I don't want to be affecting this too much. So I want to make sure I'm dragging away. Don't worry if it disforms, because it will do. We're just going to hide it inside the body, so it doesn't matter if it then starts looking funny. There you go. Braid's gone. It's now just inside. It's now just up here. Oh, maybe I don't do that. If I want to do that, let's go onto object mode, go onto the body, back onto sculpt mode, and with a very small radius, just tuck that under there. There you go. That's better. Cool. Nice pose there already. I'm quite liking this figure. This is why I like making figures, because they never ever end up looking like how I intend. They always end up going off into another direction. Right, so let's give her some ammo pouches, because at the moment she's not going to be firing for very long, is she? So back into object mode, file, import STL, and let's go onto the equipment. So we have mods and pouches, but we've also got, like, you know, canteens, blankets, bayonets. We got. Okay, hang on. I'm going on a sidetrack again. A sniper cape. I forgot about I had this. Right, sniper cape. Let's put this. Let's give her a sniper cape. So let's import that. Set origin. I'm going to start going quicker. So 3D cursor. Oh no, I didn't put the cursor in the right place. Let's put the cursor in the right place first. Put it there. So origin, set origin to 3D cursor, and let's then rotate it so it looks right. Type in 90, and let's start lining this up. See, this is what I mean. My models never end up going the direction that I intend them to. In my head, I didn't envisage her having a cape, but it's there and it's cool, so why don't we use it? So I'm just going to start lining it up. We're gonna have a bit of a tricky one, because we've got like a hood from the body, which we now got to deal with, and that's going to try and intersect with the hood from the cape, but we like a challenge. Right, we'll have to fix it around the shoes. That's not a problem. Let's rotate the entire thing back a little. That might make our lives just easier. Okay, and then let's rotate, because it's not lining up on this shoulder, so let's rotate it then this way, so it lines up better there. It's making it billow out quite nicely. Quite like that. Oh, I do like that actually. It's very dynamic. Right, okay, and now let's use the sculpt tool to fix up all the messes that we've just made. So let's start in this corner here. So sculpt with a large radius. Let's just move that around so it sort of tucks under the shoulder here. Let's just tuck that into there. There we go. And tuck this into there. Nice, like that. What we've got going on here? Right, it's the hood inside the hood situation, so we'll worry about that in a second. Let's worry about where this joins. So we want to tuck this under here, just so it looks like it ties up somewhere under there. I'm not going to go too much into it on the scale we're dealing with. There you go. So there you go. That now looks like it ties up under there somewhere. And now let's worry about the hood. So I need to try and get this hood inside there. So let's make the sniper hood bigger to begin with. That's a good start. But let's not get the sniper hood to do everything. So let's go into object mode and then go into bodies, and then sculpt mode again. And now let's try and tuck the hood from this inside. That's already working. Let's get rid of her head. You can just hide it in the viewport here. There you go, her head's gone. And now I can just tuck this under there. Is that what this is? Yes. Is that what this is going to be over here as well? Yeah, that's more hood. Let's get rid of all the hoods. Right. So this looks silly at the moment. Right, what's going on here? Oh, right, so that's the object mode. That's back to the cape. Sculpting mode. There we go. Now let's tuck the cape out of the way. So when I put her head back on, does that now look sensible? Yes, so that's the sniper's cape hood, and that's the yeah, that all works, doesn't it? That works. Right, we've got some silliness here which we can sort quite quickly. So we're on the cape. Let's make a large radius and just pull that out. There you go. That's better. And it's going through the shoe. So let's move this all out so it doesn't go through the shoe. There you go. And that now seems like it just falls much more naturally. Right, cool. Again, not at all what I had planned for this model, but I like it. It's cool. It works. Right, and then an ammo pouch, the thing that I was originally going to do. So file, import, STL. God bless you if you stay to the end of this video. I will, if the last one was 30 minutes long, this one's on 21, so as long as I just gradually reduce the length of the video each time, then I'll be getting there. Right, Mosin pouch, that's what I'm after. Mosin pouch, import, let's find it. Right, and let's go set origin to, set geometry to origin, and now I can then rotate this around. I'm not going to type in any numbers, I'm just going to eyeball this one. Right, let's look at it from above. Let's get rid of the head. Let's get rid of the rifle. Oh, that's not above. There we go. And let's angle it this way slightly so it lines up better with the shape that the body's going here. Let's look at it from the front. And let's move this in position. There we go. Let's do some more rotating. And then some more moving. Just stick it. So we want it to intersect. All these parts need to slightly intersect the part they're going into, so we don't end up with any gaps or anything like that. Like this, like a gap there. So let's push this back in a bit. There you go. Right, there we go. What's that? The barest gap ever. There we go. Cool. Happy with that. So now let's put in these parts again, and there we go. Let's call that, for the sake of the video, let's call that a day. I would be really tempted to shove a pistol on her somewhere, or give her a knife or something, just because I like playing with figures. But this I think this proves the point. So there we go. There's our sniper. So let's export this model. The way I like to do that is I like to go. What is the best way of doing it? Let's just do it the easy way. Let's just go File, Export, and then export to STL. Let's choose where we're going to put it. So let's put it in. I'm going to put it in with the multi-part kit again. You can call it whatever you like. So let's go female sniper. Let's just call her fem sniper. Fem sniper. And export. And that will do the job. That will save it. Okay, so then give it a little bit of time. And there you go. So she's saved. Now, when I put her into Lychee, my slicer, it will probably complain. Lychee's a bit finicky, so it will probably be red and say, oh, this isn't printable, there's errors and things like that. Just tell it to repair it, and 9 times out of 10 it will. If it's still causing an issue, so if it's still red and complaining that it's unprintable, again, it will be fine. Trust me, you can print it. Ignore what it's saying. It's lying. 9 times out of 10 it's lying to you. But if it really is causing you, grief, and you're wanting to make sure it's fine, I use a program called I think it's Microsoft 3D Builder. I think it's called. It used to be free, but I think it's now subscription based. Yeah, so you can just use that. You put it in, it will tell you that it's incorrectly defined, I think is the words it uses. Just tell it to fix, and it will. It's amazing. It can fix basically anything. And then you'll have your model, then Lychee will stop complaining at you. So there we go. That's that model. I think I'll end it there. Thank you for watching.